we boot.
On the menu today?
To go very It's a Game Boy now.
Hello, Ship Dippers. In the previous episode, we took a walk through history as we learned about the machines that had inspired the ill-fated Commodore 65. Then we unboxed the Mega 65 and gave it a thorough teardown, finally setting it up on the desk ready for today. So join me now as we find out if it gets a mega high score here on Retro Recipes.
Welcome.
Alright, so here we are. The Mega 65 is ready. We've got our user guide. So let's embark on our old school style discovery of this product. I want you to join me in trying to pretend or imagine that we are 15 years old. We've just got this brand new Commodore 65 and all we've got is our bedroom, our monitor, our keyboard and our user guide. You ready? It's kind of like the Sid chip. Should I say Sid chips are singing to us. Of course, this has double Sid chips emulated, not emulated, replicated on the FPGA in stereo, no less. So that means we've got six voices playing this beautiful song. And there's the thing I think about this, I've been thinking about it for a few days. I don't think they could have picked a better song because it's sort of that singing and the flashing lights. It's just the promise of what's to come from this machine. So they've done a really good job. It actually reminds me of the introduction to Apple II disc that came with the Apple IIe, because that, of course, had the little Apple logo that ran down the screen and you could play little games on it, like the rabbit chasing the carrot. And this really is a kind of 2022 or a 1991 version of that from the early 80s. So I love it. Now the reason it's gone to this screen is when I was making the last video, I went to the onboarding screen. I'll show you it here. And this is just the first time thing when you set date and time, video output options, and that sort of thing. So in this case, we've gone for PAL because most C64 games were made in PAL. And I just figured that would result in a better experience. And after that, it took me to this screen, and this is as far as I've got. So it explains here, you know, what the cursor is. The cursor indicates the computer's ready to accept input. Now, I would have already known this from my Commodore 64, so excited. Get familiar with the keyboard. So the command keys are return, shift, control, etc. And this little mega key here. We'll skip ahead to something I don't know.
5 hours later.
So the Mega key provides a number of different functions. It can be used to launch special utilities. Holding Shift and pressing Mega switches upper and lowercase. Yep. So very much like the Commodore key. It's interesting how it changes the PETS key on screen. Holding Mega and pressing any key that shows a single graphic symbol on the front prints that character to screen. So actually, this is very much like the C64, and I like that. It goes into function keys, Alt. Holding Alt while switching the Mega 65 on activates the utility menu. So that will get us back to that onboarding screen. Screen editor. Interesting. So it says these can be used to calibrate the screen. In many of my videos, you've seen Jiffy Dolphin, my hybrid kernel that I use on the C64, giving this kind of display with these colors. Easy now, respect, welcome to the Retro Show! Because I've always loved this since I first saw the C65. Interesting that they actually have a function in mind. But it has actually other functions. You can do word advance. So it says if we press Control W, yeah, It's interesting, they've turned BASIC into a word processor. You can set custom tab positions. Oh, so you can actually just press tab and that skips into different columns. Reminds me of the Amstrad PCW. You can set a window on the Mega 65 working screen. Move your cursor to the beginning of BASIC 65. Try this. Press escape. Press escape. Then press T. Move the cursor down 10 lines. And press escape. Then B. Anything you type will be contained in this window. That's amazing. I can remember how to type. That's cool. Can't yet think of the use case for that, but I'm sure there is a good one. To escape the window, press clear home twice. Yeah, it's got some additional PETSCII characters that you can choose by typing font A or B. To enter the freezer, press and hold restore for half a second. Oh, what happened? Oh, nice. It's got a built-in freeze cartridge functionality. CPU mode. Auto. Joystick swap, I see. So you can swap joystick ports without removing the joystick. ROM. You can choose different ROMs. Cartridge enable. CPU frequency. 1 megahertz. And look, the machine changes there. 1 megahertz being the Commodore 64. Video PAL, NTSC, that might require a reboot. Monitor, audio and volume, sprite editor. Internal drive, external drive. Resume what we were doing. F3. There it is. We made a right mess of the screen, haven't we? It talks here about formatting the SD card. Now, I did, as I mentioned in the other video, copy everything from the device onto this micro SD card. Only reason really for doing that was so that I could easily remove and reinsert the SD card in the back of the device instead of having to go underneath all the time. But it does recommend you format it in the device. It tells you how to do that. All you do is hold down Alt and turn on the machine. Configure Mega, SD card formatting and keyboard test. There it is. Select SD card to modify. But I'm not going to do that right now. And then here it's going into how to install other ROM and support files. And that's basically how to flash other cores to the machine. It tells you here how to get them, how to download them. But you should be okay with the core that comes on here by default. So we're going to keep things a little simple for now. We're already in page 30. Okay, so now it's explaining about switching modes from BASIC. You can use either C64 mode or C65 mode running BASIC version 10. It is a bit like the Commodore 128, but it does point out here the difference is the Mega 65's features can be accessed from both modes. All the time I'm reading this out, I keep thinking about those demos in that loader page. And I actually just want to go play with those and see what the machine can do. And then we'll come back to the nitty-gritty. What do you think? Okay. 1 for demo, 2 for game, 3 for music. Just going to go with the first one. Return to start. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Now let's put ourselves in the mindset that we don't have an Amiga. We've never seen an Amiga. Well, of course, by then you would have seen an Amiga. Okay. I will connect a joystick. This is the Unithor joystick. Of course, I'm used to the port being on the right. Port number 2 usually. Just in case it's meant to do anything. No. How do we exit? Run stop? Run stop restore. Okay. So we have to reboot. It's very C64-like in that way. $1,536 dots at 60 frames per second. Alright, let's dig deeper. Fred Bowen's original C65 BASIC demo, enhanced and updated by Bit Shifter. Careful how you say that. Wow. That's in BASIC? That resolution. Yeah. So I guess this is the one that originally came with the Commodore 65, had it ever been properly released. Okay, it's just showing off now. Nice. Genetics 1. Ooh. A fractal demo. I love how quick all these load as well. I bought. Very good. I wonder what the coding looks like. Yeah, so this is all done in BASIC, huh? Sorry, I'm really just doing things that I would have done as a teen playing with this. It's all about discovering how it works, isn't it? Let's have a look at some rasters. Stereo SID chips. Nice key change. So these are the RRB sprites. Oh, how lovely. So the RRB is one of the Mega 65's secret weapons. It's a raster rewrite buffer. So I'm assuming that buffering allows it to display sprites much quicker and many more of them. I love it. And I think the guy who wrote this is one of our supporters of the channel. So now I love it even more. Let's see. Tutter as in King Tut. Wow. Why is he upside down? It's the Monty on the Run music. It's interesting, isn't it, that this image was so defining for the Commodore Amiga in Deluxe Paint, but now we're seeing it animated by a supposedly lesser computer.
And if you think that's cool for a souped-up Commodore 64, I also found some early test demos by Shalan, like this parallax scrolling layer effect, whoa, and this Mode 7 test. Mode 7, of course, being the Super Nintendo graphics mode that allowed perspective backgrounds to be rotated and scaled. I'm sure we're going to see much more of all of this over the coming months and years as the capabilities of the machine are uncovered.
But we're learning what it can do, aren't we? So let's go next to game. Wow, look at all these. These are all built in as well. Lunar Taxi, let's try that. Your mission is to land on the highlighted surface base. Okay, oh, okay. So up is thrust. Ah, I see. Very, very simple, okay. I mean, I say that, I would have loved it if I'd coded it. Quick reboot. Poopy. Toxic Frenzy. Try this. Oh, wow. So obviously, okay, it's the Game & Watch style. Score or die. Okay, so these are literally written in BASIC, I think. So this raises an interesting question. These are obviously very simple, cute and effective games, but on the other hand, they don't really show the full potential. Maybe I'm loading the wrong games, but I don't know if including those with the computer is necessarily the right approach, because I suppose you want to really see the capabilities. Maybe the demos do that, maybe I'm wrong. Either way, can't really complain about free stuff.
And one more bit of free stuff is Blaster. This looks much more like what I had in mind, doesn't it, you? And there it is, a traditional shoot 'em up. Definitely way more advanced than we would have seen on the Commodore 64. Get the fried eggs! Yes, gotcha. Very cool. And Shalan also sent me this early work in progress of his game Dank Souls. He also sent me his look and feel test for Pew Pew Doodle. Actually, looks and feels pretty amazing, doesn't it? And Badger Punch recently announced this.
So before we exit this screen, let's try some music demos. So this is an example of using Basic 65's play command. There it is. Hear the drums. There's also a mod player included. Let's try this dual SID challenge music here. Something about the SID chip, and having two of them is really, I feel very spoiled. Mission Impossible. Your Mega 65 will self-destruct in 5 seconds. And finally, in this built-in utility, we have a utility. LED designer. RAM test, test card, vector clock, yaped. What's a vector clock? You know, I would have left this running in my bedroom. It's now 32:25. That is actually the correct time. Current time from the real-time clock. That may be a small bug. We'll see. There's all the code. It is 12:25. But that's okay. It does make me laugh. Oh no, it's 32:25, I'm late for work. Yaped. The world's first Amiga 65 native PETSCI editor. That'd be great for designing your own little basic sprites and stuff. Drawing mode, typing mode. Let's see, okay. Should at this point probably go and get a mouse, shouldn't I? Well, I have connected a mouse and it doesn't seem to work, so okay. Well, we've explored everything in the intro disk. Let's just see what else is in the user guide. So the Mega 65 is used in either C64 mode or C65 mode or Mega 65 mode. To switch from Mega 65 to C64 mode, use the familiar Go 64 command. So it's the same way that you do it on a Commodore 128. Let's try that. Go 64. Yes. Oh, I typed Go 65. It reminds me of Sam's journey in a way. I guess we didn't get to this bit of the manual yet. Oh, it says it's an Easter egg intro. So I guess it's not advertised. Hope I haven't spoiled too many surprises. I don't see anything about Go 65. What have I done? That doesn't sound good, does it? That was interesting, though. Let's try and type it correctly this time. Go 64. Are you sure? Yes. We have a beautiful HDMI to S-Video Commodore 64 screen. I just instinctively was trying to do Commodore run stop to bring up the loader. Memory machine inspection interface. It's surprise after surprise with this machine. Oh, it's like the Matrix.
Harleyfractic from Game Project. This is my friend Bunny, and we like to tell about you PCB way. Or you could give PCBs for $5. How do you pay, Fractic?
So we don't need to explore this too much because we all know what a C64 can do. I do wonder though if there is a loader. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's going to load the first image on the microSD. Oh, it's scanning the floppy disk drive. Interesting.
But while we're seeing what we can do with the disk drives, you might be wondering if the fantastic new text-based C64 OS might load on the Mega 65. I did a full review of it in that previous video. So I've copied the contents of its own SD card into a D81 disk file using DirMaster for Windows, D81 being what the Mega 65 seems to need to see a whole bunch of files. And no matter what mode I put the Mega 65 in, it just doesn't quite work. Now I'm sure Gregory Nasu will be releasing a fix for that, if he hasn't already, by the time you've watched this.
Okay, well there is C64 mode. Switch back by pressing reset. Another option is hold restore, and then press F5. Okay. And that just takes us back there. Beautiful. Machine code monitor can be entered by typing monitor. Wow, okay, it's built in. That's going to be very handy for some of you coders. And then it's going into about the Commodore 65 registers, how this actually includes a recreation of the VIC-4 chip, not the VIC-3. Chapter 6, cores and flashing. So it tells you where to download them. I have already done that. Switch off the power. Oops. Then hold no scroll while switching the power back on. No scroll. There we go. Now we can have some fun and burn some different cores. So first you copy it to the SD card, and then you follow the instructions at the bottom of the screen. So Control 2 will let me edit slot 2. So here are the cores that I downloaded by following links from their website. We've got a C64 core. Now apparently this one is more compatible with the C64 than Go 64 mode that's built into the Mega 65. Oh, that's a lot to remember. Seem to have two of those. There's two of everything. Okay, we won't worry about that. So if we were to have trouble running a game, playing a game in Go 64 mode, we could try it from the more compatible full C64 core. So let's show you how that works. We're going to select a flash file, press return, verified, any key to continue. Now it's writing the Commodore 64 core to the FPGA. Going to take a little while. I won't subject you to all of that. See you in a second. Flash slot successfully updated. Very cool. Well, while we're here, why don't we write a few more cores? So Control 3 for slot 3, and this is the Game Boy Color core. There's also an Apple II core that's being worked on, Apple core. Oh, I love it. But they do say it's not ready for public consumption yet, so I'm not even going to try it. We'll maybe do that as a separate dedicated video. Besides, I've got an Apple II here But you can betcha there's going to be lots more cores coming. And as I hinted in the first video, I think we'll see an Amiga core and probably in time an Atari ST and other cores. So it's going to be a fascinating and wonderful machine to just have and flash with all these different machines. Okay, so I've slashed my slots, flashed my slots. So what I can do now is turn it back on, hold down, no scroll, C64 mode. Interesting, it's much narrower. I suppose it's using different video routines. So what I want to try is running Jupiter Lander on both versions, the Mega 65, the Mega 65's C64 mode, and the separate C64 core. So I'm going to put my cartridge, of course it's this side, got to get used to that. Put my cart in there, power on. So this is going to do the Mega 65 built-in core. Press F1 to start. It usually has music, no? Oh, there it is. It's pretty faithful. I always got nervous at that beeping. Oh wait, joystick's not working. Is it a keyboard game? I can't remember. That's no good. Try joystick in port 1. First thing to always try. There it is. Sorry, no bonus. And then it destroys you. Then what we could do is turn it off again, hold down no scroll, turn on the power. No scroll doesn't work if there's a cartridge in, which begs the question, how do you get the C64 separate core to run the cartridge? I don't want to put the cartridge in while the machine's on. Interesting. Doesn't run the cart. Well, it worked without doing that, so I just wanted to see if it was possible. And it isn't. One thing I am noticing, just completely randomly, is the case is sinking in a little bit. Now, I talked about the plastic quality in the first video. There are ways to mitigate all of that stuff. The marbling you can apparently correct by not allowing the plastic to cool so much as it runs through the mold. And this sinking you can do with structural changes. Either way, I don't care because I'm having fun. I want to load the Game Boy core. Okay, can't see all of the screen here. Let's see here. Can I move this up and down? No, okay. Well, I can see the keys mostly. So cursor key is going to be the Game Boy joypad. Space is start. Return is select. Left shift is A. Mega 65 key is B. Run stop is file browser. Let's go. Oh, okay, we're in the file browser. Now I did copy some things in here, I think. I think that was a demo I downloaded. It's a Game Boy now. Oh, wow. Never run this before, even on a Game Boy. I'm not hearing sound. I would expect there to be some. That's very nice animation though, isn't it? Wow. I've forgotten the Game Boy could do such impressive 3D juggling. Very nice. So you could in theory load any kind of Game Boy game into there. And again, it's not an emulator, so it's not going to be riddled with those kind of problems. It's going to be riddled with different problems, but that one seems to have no problems at all. I'm having fun, I have to say. So wouldn't that be nice? Eventually you'd have all of these filled. You'd have Apple II, Amiga, Atari ST, ZX Spectrum. There is actually a ZX Spectrum core in development as well. but again, not ready to be seen yet, not fully working. I love this. This is actually my first proper time at flashing FPGA cores to one machine. I know the ZX Spectrum Next can do it, as you can see just there, but I do like having this in a Commodore form factor and Commodore fonts and all that. It's just one of those things. Now, we do have this. We're very kindly sent this, which is Hibernated 1 Director's Cut. And as you can see, it is supplied on a Mega 65 3.5-inch disc. This is the first commercial released game for the Mega 65. And we're going to open it right now. Hibernated 1 is of course by Stefan Vogt, and I did a full walkthrough of it on the C64 when it first came out. This is the highly enhanced Director's Cut version. Look at that. Beautiful. We've got a little iron-on patch there as well. I am lucky getting things like this, aren't I? Do enjoy sharing it with you guys though as well. There is a micro SD card, our first floppy disk actual game for the Mega 65. And then instructions. A little hint here from Stefan. Try room number 6666 in Hibernated 2. Some stickers from Polyplay, who publish this beautiful box set. Beautiful poster. Running out of space on my walls. So again, pretending we are a teenager, all we've got is this disc. We saved up all our pocket money to go buy it, or our money from working in the local video shop, as I did as a teenager. That was my first job. Insert the disc, type boot, and press return. Type boot, I didn't know about that. As a teen, I would have just popped it in the drive and turned on the machine. Let's see what that does. Nothing, okay. So we do have to go to basic, type boot. So now this is our selected drive. So can we pull up a listing? Okay. So they said type boot. Let's try it now. We solved it. Love it. That is nice though. Bit shifter. Careful how you say that. Shifter. Well, it's a biggie. The anticipation just reminds me of those teenage days. Here it is. You open up the covers. You lure me in. This place is death. I know you feel the same. Director's cut. Oh, this all comes back to me now. A cold, dark place. You wake up. A feeling of nausea grips you as you slowly regain control of your senses. You should open your eyes. Oh, my eyes are meant to be closed. Then how could I read it? I'm being silly, of course. Open eyes. Blurred shapes slowly morph into a clear picture. Hibernation chamber. The room is lit by a gentle blue light. Here it is now. If this information is correct, then you have spent nearly 20 years in hypersleep during flashing red warning lights reflected on the palladium glass. I love how this just conjures the imagination. I can hear a siren going off, even though there's nothing actually on the screen or in the audio. Perhaps an adventure game isn't the best example of the Mega 65's capabilities, but how cool that it supports pretty much every computer ever made. Good job, Stefan. We'll come back to that in a future episode. But for now, so let's go back into 0. Well, we've got Solitaire or GEOS. What do you want to try? It's got to be GEOS, hasn't it? Boot. Boot. Oh, it works. Holy moly. Okay, oh, I haven't plugged the mouse in. So you go into port 2. First thing I'm going to do, the colors are a bit muted for me, so I'm going to go and try and find the configuration. Top desk. Copyright 1991. Was this actually made for the Commodore 65 then? Here's our video modes. Super res. That might have been a mistake. Yes, it was. 80 column mode. Oh, that's better. That's what we need for this monitor. If you're in HDMI, you might get away with the high res. File, show. It's very Mac-like, isn't it? An 80 column mode. So what's in here? So this is we're now in our D81 file system. Preferences. Oh, it's not working so well. Color manager. Oh, okay. Yeah, colors need some work, I think. Color off. But it's definitely usable. More than on a C64, I would say. What's in here? Internal. Function aborted. No disk. Well, just for fun, let's put in our hibernated 1 floppy disk and see if we can read it through GEOS. Does it need to be in a special format? No. That's kind of it's kind of amazing. I've got a disk file system on in a C64 essentially. You know, I probably should stop comparing this to a C64, shouldn't I? Because it's its own thing. I think that's the point. Open the folder. Open a folder. Yeah, I think there is a different file format going on here. Now, I'm not going to format this disk, but could we format a disk? Let me grab a blank disk. Don't have to go very far. A battery just attacked me. That scared the life out of me. I thought it was an exploding capacitor or something. Damn you, Duracell. Okay, I was saying I don't have to go very far for these disks. They are high density. Okay, interesting. Disk format. If this works, I'm really going to feel like I have a Mac. Just because I said that is punishing me. Oh no, it's working. Enter a name. Blank. A few moments later.
5 hours later.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a problem there. It's not perfect yet. Take my disk out and we might have to reboot. Really not a problem and not surprising for such an early released machine. And we're already at the appendix, which is Basic 65 commands. Now, because there's so much new stuff in Basic 65, which is essentially Commodore Basic version 10 instead of version 2 that's with the Commodore 64, if you think of it as being, you know, 7 or 8 revisions later, there's a ton of new stuff, as we saw with the just changing the window size. So that would probably warrant a separate video all by itself. This is the highest rated game from the mega65.com website. Let's see if it loads. Looks promising. Resume. Boot. File not found. Okay. No.
5 hours later.
By the way, Shift Run Stop runs the first game in the disk image. Megastyle presents. Let's get our joystick ready. The great Gianna sisters. Mega sisters. This is Megan. Of course it's Megan. It's the Megan 65. No sound effects, but... Oh, how smooth is the scrolling, huh? So smooth I died. Oh. So obviously it's a does not like me holding down restore. So obviously it's their interpretation of Great Giant Sisters. Awesome. A whole bunch of basic 65 programs here. So what is 11? What could it be doing? Yeah. I have no clue. This is beyond my skill set. How about a nice game of Solitaire? Wow. Okay. Look at this. Oh. See, now I'm basically using an Amiga, right? That's how this feels. Have a quick game here. With a pretty terrible hand. Run, stop, restore to quit? No. No way to quit. The possibilities are kind of limitless here, aren't they? 11 development environment. Oh, okay. So I think we accidentally got into a different version or different view of this. It's a combined editor and preprocessor package which enhances Basic 10 by adding the following features. Okay, it's a full editor basically. No more line numbers, named labels, easy to read comments. So let's try loading a game. Load file name. I did see one in there called CBM People, which sounded interesting. File not found. Pretty sure it was in there. Is there a disk browser? Yes. Press $. And it says we can try Hello World. Loading. There is our code. F5 to compile it into a program. Filing successful. Your name. Perry. Oops. Perry. Hello, Perry. How very nice to meet you. Thank you. That's it. All right. I'm sure it gets more complex than that, but it's nice to see that there is a full kind of editor here. F1 to go back to that. Let's try this one that I saw. Success. Compile. Tokenizing. Did it crash? I think it might have crashed. Stop it. Hopalong.el. Loading. Compile. High res or low res? High res all the way. Random. And it's the fractal demo again. Illegal quantity. Sorry. Having too much fun here. Tree growth. Probability. Fire probability. Well, it's very appropriate with the helicopters going overhead and brush fires nearby me. Well, when you think about, the handful of small programs that we got with our Commodore 64s or our Apple IIs, having all of these things and all these different environments and the wealth of stuff on their website that's only going to be growing more and more. We are very spoiled, aren't we? Brush fires aside. Well, I don't want to brush you off, but we are running out of time here. And I think I've looked at all of the main points of this. So, what do I feel about it? What's our big wrap up? Well, it definitely recaptures that nostalgic feeling of going through a new system as a kid or a teenager, particularly like the user guide as well. Part of my job, though, is to be honest and relay honest feedback to you guys. And so if I was forced at Water Pistol to firstly let you know some things that I don't like so much, there's so many different keys to get to different things. And crucially, they're not marked. Now, I do understand why, because they want this to look like an authentic Commodore 65. But I think in a light gray on the keys to help you remember, what do you hold down restore for, no scroll alt when you're booting, it becomes a little bit frustrating. But then again, that is the nature of the beast, isn't it? This is so many machines in one. So I kind of understand that. The other thing is the SD card, copying files from the one underneath. It's kind of fiddly to get to, so you don't have to keep taking it in and out underneath, copying them to a new micro SD card that you have to buy and put in the back. You don't have to, but it makes life a lot easier. If I was them, I would just ship the machine with a micro SD card in the back. Then again, to be fair, I'm sure I got equally frustrated with cassette tapes as a kid. But overall, I really love this machine. I particularly love how it looks. It's a machine we've seen that look of for 30 years and never been able to hold and touch. I guarantee you it's going to stay on this desk. You'll see it in the background of other videos for a while yet, especially with that multicolored basic screen. But in a way, I'm sort of wondering, is it too good? Does it do too much? It almost does so much that you are left unsure what its own personality actually is. But having slept on it, my thoughts, not the computer, it does still leave me a bit conflicted. By making it better than a Commodore 65 and essentially making it almost an Amiga and a C64 and a C128 with that 80 column mode, well, I'm starting to wonder if those weren't some of the arguments that Commodore's sales and engineering teams were having that led for the whole project to be cancelled. But then I come back to just what a great achievement getting this machine to us is, all of those things housed in one really pretty box that brings us new nostalgia. I mean, heck, it even brings a whole machine back from the dead. So I think it comes down to the individual. If you already have the machines it can emulate, you may not get very much more out of this. You might even lose interest quite quickly and rate it 3 out of 5. Then again, it does have basic 65 and 11 and all the different things you can learn. And, they're pretty easy to learn in here. So maybe you wouldn't get bored, even if you had an Amiga and a C64 and a Game Boy Color for that matter. But if you don't have one of those machines, I'd say it's definitely worth saving up the pocket money for. Of course, the price is going to drop anyway over time. And I think if you were one of those people, you'd probably rate it 5 out of 5. Speaking of pocket money, the price of this, €666. I don't really take issue or offense at that. That's exactly what the Commodore 65 would have cost today with inflation. It's hard to really argue with that. I mean, it wouldn't be fair of me to expect a machine that does more than the Commodore 65 would have ever done to cost less than it would cost today, all amid a chip shortage as well. And remember, the Museum of Electronic Games and Art is non-profit. It's a charity. So should we expect them to lose money by offering this to the community? So I think we sometimes have to just take a little step back and remember how lucky we are to have this option at all. So for our rating, well, 3.5 would feel too low for everything this offers. And I think the only fair score is a very solid 4 chips out of 5. And it's only going to get better as more cores are released. God blimey. I'm sure we'll feature it again in the future when that happens. So good job, Team Mega. The retro community is definitely better off for having this machine in it, and I thank you. You should all be mega proud. I'll be back soon with another delicious retro recipe full of cores and chips. Until next time, thanks for watching. Subscribe and support below, and cheerio. I think I'll have another game of Blaster.